Everybody, welcome to our Crypto Spiritual Weekly. My name is Bryndis, and I'm going to be your energy interpreter here for the next 15 minutes or so. Rethinking and changing the perspective about financial and cryptocurrency energies here in conjunction with collective energetic tendencies. And if you were at my energy update here for the week of the 2nd till the 8th of March 2018, 30 minutes ago, you've learned sort of what the collective weather condition is. And here we want to reflect and transpose that onto the crypto market. So I want to send a heartfelt welcome to all of you watching this here, either live or on YouTube. Thank you very much for coming. If you have questions at the end of me introducing sort of the themes for the coming week and the energy tips, things that you can do to prevent certain tendencies or to counteract the forecast, then please comment here or write your question and I'll respond to it. If you're watching the video, please feel free to comment in the commentary, and don't forget to push the like and subscribe button, because that's what keeps me going, and also of course what gives me the feedback. If we look back at last week's prediction, I said that this was going to be a good week, and if you look at the barometer here, the crypto energy barometer that I've created and that I publish every week, you will see the green and the orange and the yellow and the red zone. And I want to point out that these are reflections of the intensity of these energetic tendencies. Okay, in other words, just because it's on green doesn't mean that there isn't anything going on. It doesn't mean that you make a lot of profits. When it's on green, it means that the energies are relatively calm, or that they're sort of in a that they behave in a predictable manner. And when they're in the red zone, like they are for this coming week, they predict that there's going to be a lot of volatility, a lot of up and down. Okay, so please don't think that just because I put a green signal up there last week that this was supposed to be like a profitable week. It wasn't, at least not for me. For most of us, it wasn't. But the overall movement of the market was sideways. It was relatively calm. We had no major bad news, except for maybe Bill Gates sort of in a not so graceful way expressing that cryptos can be misused for criminal or illegal transactions. But as we all know, that is the case for fiat currencies as well. And just because the option is there doesn't mean that it's crypto's fault, that people misuse it. We've also talked about how the cryptocurrency market is moving from its from its birthing state into its infancy. And I made a few comments last week where I said, this is like learning how to walk and to talk. And this is kind of like the energy that is coming up here in this next week. And I would like to talk about this a little bit. What does that mean? Now, if you look at the keywords that I brought up here, the first question that I'm raising is the volatility at an end now. Okay, so right now here on March 1st at 3 p.m., there is a movement in the market. Bitcoin looks like it may be breaking out of its old pattern and entering into a new sort of bullish pattern. I do not see this for the entire week. On the contrary, actually what I see is volatility, high levels of volatility, meaning that it's very possible that we're going to break through the 12,200 mark with Bitcoin and move higher, but then also experiencing a correction down again. So I know that this messes up the technical analysis, but these are what I can read in the energies. And I want to reflect a little bit on how I read these energies, because I'm also, of course, in this sort of experimental state of trying to create a protocol that allows me to make more precise predictions. As you all know, this is not based on astrology, it's not based on crystal ball, it's based on what energetically sensitives pick up due to their innate precognitive abilities. And not so much in regards to cryptos per se, but that is just something that comes in through my personal skill set, being able to connect with numbers, knowing technical analysis, knowing software programming, and understanding the crypto market, at least sort of on its sort of rudimentary level. And so the connection that I see here and that I'm making here is that I see that because it is such an emotional market, and it consists of so many people with relatively little, say, preoccupied patterns. Okay, so we're dealing with a very raw psychology here. We're dealing with a lot of people reacting just to how they feel. And this makes this market very unique and very interesting for people like me who've dedicated more or less all their life in analyzing and breaking down the human nature into some of the energetic dynamics and so forth that can be seen if a person trains themselves to see this. And you may have heard a little bit about remote viewing, and also how astrology may be helpful or can become a tool in predicting cryptocurrency dynamics. And I want to just let you know that those are all models that that are implied in what I do. So I am trained in remote viewing, I am trained in astrology, but I am working as an energy coder for the last 10 years of my professional career. And so I can see deeper dynamics in the energy work, which is why I think that some of the other techniques may be limited. But just as remote viewing or crystal ball viewing or astrology can give us can give us forecasts, it also has limitations as far as like very erratic things happening in our collective, in our society. And this is kind of like the speciality that I bring in here, because I pick up on those movements. And for me, there is a connection between the chakras that are being affected in us humans and the tendency or the proclivity to decide or to make decisions in regards to what we want to buy, what we want to sell, how we feel about our finances, how we feel about our physical manifestation of abundance. And so in the energy update here half an hour ago, I predicted for next week a strong impact on our first, third, fifth, and seventh chakra. And I want to go through these with you and show you a little bit how I come to these predictions and what these usually mean. So when the first chakra is affected, which on an energy work level usually affects our inner child and karmic aspects, the deeper things, our blind spots, and so forth, we can or we are pulled into erratic decision making. There is the sort of infantile fear of loss and a form of irrationality. It bypasses our rational thinking. Okay, and so whenever the first chakra is affected, we usually see higher volatility levels in the cryptocurrency market. One tiny piece of news can offset the entire market, because roughly 90% of the people in the market are unaware of these energetic movements and cannot really discern this, and so they make their buying or selling decisions or trading decisions based on that. So we're going to see this here next week, and this leads me to predict that even if we can break out of some of these sideways or bearish patterns that we've seen with Bitcoin here the last weeks, then I don't think it's the end of it. So I believe that we have reached a level of recovery. So I'm not really concerned that Bitcoin is going to go to zero or anything like that. But it is possible that we see one more correction, as they call this. When the third chakra is affected, what it does to us is that it kind of pushes us into, trying to control things, trying to overdo things, all right? We're going over the top. We're trying to control things too much. That's how this would show in our life. In the crypto market, I've noticed that whenever there's a collective third chakra pattern going on, that people need to find a balance. They need to find the balance between, trying to pump and dump, because this is usually where this ends up. So third chakra patterns usually end in pump and dump patterns. But if we can find the balance there, and I called this dawdling. This is a new word that I created. It has no significance here. I'm not trying to start a new meme, but I was trying to show something. And this is sort of here the crypto energy lesson number one that I could come up with is to find the balance between hodling and dawdling. Dawdling is like overdoing it, it's like too much, erratic trading, like, oh my God, it's going up, I gotta, buy more, and oh my God, it's going down, I gotta sell, all that. So third chakra is still in the area of trying to control things too much and not really tapping in to your higher abilities that could allow you to just sit there and, like, say, ride things out. Okay, so finding the balance, and personally, I found the balance in, and I would recommend this to anyone who offers services, is to, first of all, accept cryptocurrencies. This is really important for the entire market now, that we move into this place of making cryptocurrencies usable. Otherwise it's just a brain fart. Otherwise we'll continue hearing all this like, oh, cryptos don't really have a true value. You guys probably heard this many times, and we all know it's not true, but then we lack sort of the eloquence or the words to explain, what the true value is. A lot of that, though, is still in the realm of speculation. And speculation, and sort of believing in the great future of cryptos, that's seventh chakra, okay? That's us being connected with a larger picture. We can see this already. We know it's true. We can't really come with the needed proofs, say, but it is already there for us. Something that, as a visionary, I've kind of suffered all my life from, namely to see things like way ahead of time, like 10, 20 years ahead of time, and trying to arrange my life accordingly, but it was way too early. So people made fun of me. In my younger years, they said, we have to put your ideas and you into a freezer for 10 years before we can actually heed what you're saying. Now, with the global transformation and global awakening going on, it's a lot more than just me and maybe a handful other people that I know. It's a whole community that I've built here at transCODES that consists of visionaries and people who are willing and wanting to link into these deeper abilities, including the precognition and including making business with this. So if you are somewhere, in that place where you offer products or where you offer services, and then one big thing to find this balance here between hodling and dawdling is to accept Bitcoin and make them work or cryptocurrencies altogether and make them work for you. Those of you who don't have a service or product per se, or not yet, what you can do is become part of a mining pool or become part of some community that produces cryptos through usage or through mining or through investing together. Those are things in the future that will be very supported here by collective energies, because we're moving into a new paradigm of ownership, a new paradigm of shared information, shared wealth. Okay, these things will be not only supported, but also will come up as new ways for us to understand financial abundance. And of course, transposed into the larger industries, this also means that there's a shift that needs to happen in understanding, who owns what. And I wanted to pick out two things here that have come to my attention, especially this last week. I've talked about who owns data and the dangers and also the challenges that come with that a few times already, but I really, really want to stress this for you guys. What we are experiencing here in its infancy is the war on who owns data, on data ownership. And this is something where those of you who have that inner truth navigator really need to step up. We need to make sure that no matter what happens here with the crypto market, that the ownership of data returns back to the individual. If we miss that train, guys, this whole thing can backlash on us. And the whole spirit gets crushed again. The spirit of, the power back to the people, taking out the middleman and all that. This is now where this is being defined. The same happened with the internet and so many other technological advancements where we missed that train. Guys, we cannot allow anyone to monopolize anything that comes out of blockchain technologies. And yes, I understand there will always be the need for privacy. And so, privacy coins such as Monero or some of the alternative blockchain technologies that offer more anonymity, that there will always be a use for that, and that's okay. But we have to make sure that we can control our data. And you really need to pay attention to some of these ICOs that are coming out that are, sort of offering the all-in-one solution. Yes, it's going to be so much more comfort. You don't need to worry. We send your medical data to your doctor. We take care of this. We take care of your inheritance, blah, 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 blah. You got to be really, really careful and conscientious with those companies, no matter how great the potential for investment. This needs to really ping your heart navigator here. You've got to understand that those things are no good for us. In gripping, over it or touching on some of these sort of fake decentralized platforms that are there, that are nothing but sort of a dressed up database, using the blockchain as a larger transportation system, but are still centralized systems, So this requires us to discuss this, guys. So there are discussions that can be done in communities such as Reddit and so forth. Here at transCODES, we have the Facebook group, the Crypto Spiritual Facebook group, where we want to ignite those kind of discussions and really help people to become a bit more aware of the dangers as well. Okay, so it's not all just gold because it's blinking. Okay, it's very attractive, but you have to use your heart mind. You can't just use your mind or your greed. All right. So when it comes to artificial intelligence, that this is even bigger of a danger. And here at this point, I just want to remind everybody that artificial intelligence can only be as intelligent as the programmer, as the sort of the protocol that it runs on, and then it learns from our behaviors, from our reactions to it, and that also brings me back to self-responsibility. So whatever fears you have in regards to artificial intelligence, I think they are valid, and all that does is really reminding us on stepping up into responsibility, and perhaps even reflecting a bit more how we as humans interact with another. Because if I can imagine, or if I imagine an artificial intelligence studying human nature as it has happened before, some of those artificial intelligence-based bots, communication bots that they've invented in a couple of years, they all had to be stopped because they either turned violent or they developed their own ways of communicating that was inaccessible for us. So in order to prevent those things, guys, use your intuition in conjunction with your understanding, okay? And don't just buy blindly into any opportunity to make money. There's going to be so many opportunities to make money. Use your discernment, use your integrity, okay? And so this leads me then to the last part here of the collective energies for next week, namely the fifth chakra. And whenever our fifth chakra or fifth chakra collective panels get triggered, and then I see a lot of new corporations come up, but also a lot of movement in the area of regulations. So we've had the SEC, the American regulatory institution here for financial securities, beginning to probe ICOs in regards to their legality. You have to understand that even though that kind of news can create a little bit of FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, that these things are necessary. Okay, it is necessary to weed out some of the stuff. And if you have been around in the crypto market for a while, you know that there's been a lot of crud. Okay, so this weeding out process that I've been pointing at here for the last 2 weeks needs to continue on a bit more mature level now, namely on the level of regulatory levels. However, coming back to the, bringing the power back to people, this is at a place right now where we can still affect that. So by our behavior, just like with, how we're going to deal with artificial intelligence, we can determine how this is going to play out and how much regulation there really needs to be. The only way that it can actually work out in a conducive way for everyone is if there's not too many regulations, if it's still allowing sort of a free system, and we're still allowing those liberated new ways of transactions to take place. If it gets too regulated, then of course it gets repressed and censored. So once more here, finding the balance in the expression of it, and our part in that is how we react, how we buy, as consumers. This also applies to like the food industry or the drug industry, it after all, and even, the entertainment industry. The only reason why these products and also non-integrous products exist is because we buy them. And so we have to understand that our true power is in our power to make that consumer decision, that buying decision. And this is how we show the world what is integrous for us and not. All right. So just bear this in mind. These things will be challenged here for the next week. And if you would like to get a daily update on those energies, then come to the Facebook group here, Crypto Spiritual. It's a closed group where I give a daily update. And just so you know, I found two really cool tools this week. One is a new Telegram group where I actually don't know who's behind that. I have to make a little bit of research there, but it's called the 1 Minute Letter CT on Telegram, giving a really cool overview over things that are happening every day. And I'm just going to copy and paste this in future because there's no point in me trying to reinvent the wheel. But I think it's useful for all of us to just get sort of an overview or summary of the day, sort of the most important news that in the crypto market that happened that day. And the other one is a tool that was first introduced by Ivan on Tech, another fantastic YouTuber reporting about crypto energies and providing lots of educational tools, is Coin Gossip. So Coin Gossip is almost like a web bot, a web crawler that summarizes the posts and the gossip, so to speak, about certain coins on crypto companies, putting this together in a barometer. I forgot to take a screenshot to show it to you, but this is actually really, really cool. If you want to know sort of what the most spoken of cryptocurrency is, and perhaps use that as a precursor for where the most trading volume flows into or may flow into, then check out coingossip.club, I think it's called. I will leave the link here in the video description. All right. Thank you very much. If you have not listened or watched the energy update explaining those collective energies to you, then maybe spend an extra 20 minutes on peeking into it. By Thursday evening, this will all be available here on my YouTube channel in the according playlist. And if you would like to receive this as an email, then please subscribe to my email list displayed in the description. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and to smash the like button. Thank you so much, everyone. See you next week. Bye-bye.